The ECU women's basketball team looks for 2 more road victories this week after a 3-1 conference start. I'm Max Preston.
And I'm Grant Boone. We'll look back at the Wildcats' first 4 games in conference and look ahead to those 2 road games this week. It's the Julie Goodenough Show right now. Welcome to the Julie Goodenough Show from the JMC Network studios on the campus of Abilene Christian University. I'm Grant Boone alongside ACU senior Max Preston and the head women's basketball coach at ACU, Julie Goodenough. First episode of 2019, Coach. Happy New Year. Your team is 10-5 overall, 3-1 in the Southland Conference. On our last show, we were all fired up because here came the Arkansas Razorbacks to Moody Coliseum. You finished the conference season really strongly. I mean, a 7-4 overall, some quality wins. What were your takeaways from that 11-game non-conference season?
Well, it was a very challenging non-conference schedule. We had the tough Arkansas game at home. We traveled quite a bit as well, so just tried to introduce different elements to our team during the non-conference to prepare them for what we'll see on a nightly basis in the Southland. And I think that we saw a variety of styles of play. Got to fly, we got to bus, just did a little bit of everything. But I think when we, all took a break at Christmas, I felt pretty good about where we were as far as just seeing our starters really kind of solidify their positions and being the leaders on our team. We have some key players coming in off the bench. Rebounding has continued to be an emphasis and a strength for our team, as well as just sharing the basketball. We want our team to finish games with 18 to 20 assists a night and out rebound our opponents, and that's what we saw in the non-conference season.
So you're 3-1 to start conference. 3 of those games were on the road, and now you have to start the first week of classes on the road as well. That's pretty tough. But are there advantages in that?
Are we starting class this week? Are you serious?
The nerve of them, yeah.
Gosh, I mean, it's been like a ghost town around here since Christmas. So, yeah, welcome back, everyone. Our first 6 conference games, 5 are on the road. And the first 4 have been really good games. We're happy to win a couple on the road. We got to come home for 1 game. We were just 1 possession short in our last game. We will finish up this first stretch of 6 games with 2 games on the road this week. We leave tomorrow. We're gone all week, and 2 really good opponents. I feel like it's kind of an advantage to our team, though, to play all these games on the road early. Last year, where we were very inexperienced, this year we feel like we have a more veteran squad. We've got a large number of juniors on our team with 1 senior, and so I think this has set up nicely for us where we find ourselves with some battles on the road first, and then it comes back around in February. You get to be at home quite a bit.
That 1 senior, by the way, Sarah Williamson, having a mighty fine year. We'll talk about that as we go on here. We'll preview those road games this week at Houston Baptist, at Northwestern State a bit later. But next, we'll look back at the first 4 games of the conference season. This is the Julie Goodenough Show. Welcome back to the Julie Goodenough Show, Coach. You're 3-1 through the first 2 weeks of conference play. You and a couple of million others rang in the new year in New Orleans. It's a great place to be on New Year's Eve. You were there on a business trip, and at a game that went down to the wire, you found a way to win on the road 59-52. Late bucket from Dominique Golightly, clutch free throws as usual from Bree Wright. You won despite scoring just 2 points in the second quarter, largely because of foul trouble. And I'm wondering, what did that adversity in the game bring out in you and your coaching staff and your players that maybe down the road could really help?
Well, one, we still need to emphasize and practice how to play defense without fouling. We played 3 conference games on the road, and every game we've had people in foul trouble, and it started with that very first one. But we were in dire straits. I mean, we had some odd lineups out on the court because all of our post players were in foul trouble. We really had a hard time scoring, obviously, in that quarter. But credit our players for just keeping their heads in the game. We got some really big stops in that quarter as well, and we still had the lead at halftime in spite of the fact that we couldn't score in the second quarter.
So after New Orleans, you go to Huntsville to play Sam Houston. You get double-digit scoring out of 4 of your starters, and then you get a comfortable 91-79 lead or win. So to start conference on the road and go 2-0, what kind of confidence does that give your team?
Well, really credit our shooters from the bounce back from the New Orleans game to Sam Houston. We shot so many wide open 3-point shots in the New Orleans game. They didn't go in, and so we clipped all of those, we watched those, and our footwork was just all out of sync. And so in our practices getting ready for the Sam Houston game, one practice was at New Orleans and one practice was at Sam Houston. But our shooters were very intentional about just making sure their feet were set and that we were shooting the ball in the game the way we worked on in practice. And then we hit our shots in the Sam Houston game. So it was huge. To score 91 points on the road is big time. And so really appreciate the way our players responded with that and took advantage of open shots and we were able to knock those down.
By the way, 12-point final margin of victory always looks better when you look back on it, does it? In the middle of it, it's a close game on the road. They then beat Central Arkansas, so that was a quality win on the road in Huntsville. Then you come home. Did you have to get directions back to Moody? You hadn't played in a month, and you come back and you play McNeese. You looked at home. You scored 33 points in the first quarter, and sometimes you'll see teams big early start, and then they'll drop off a bit. You didn't drop off. I know McNeese was shorthanded. They were missing a couple of their key players. But how high of a level of efficiency did your team play with on that Wednesday blowout win, 109-52?
Well, it really does make a difference when you can sleep in your own bed. You can, kind of have your own schedule and get a little bit comfortable at home. Our players came in, we came back from that week-long trip, and they spent a lot of time in the gym on their own, putting shots up, and man, it paid off for them. In the game on Wednesday, I mean, when we were open, our kids knocked the shots down, really, powerful offensive effort, but it was really fueled by our defense. We forced a lot of turnovers and scored a lot of quick baskets in transition. So we just had a lot of extra possessions because of our intense defense.
And you talked about assists. I think you had 27 in that game.
We did.
45 field goals you made in that game.
Yeah, it was a great group effort, great team effort for sure. We scored from the free throw line, layups. We hit 3-point shots. And again, I go back to just the defensive intensity and focus really allowed us a lot of extra possessions, whether we forced a turnover or we got the defensive rebound, we were able to score quickly in the shot clock.
You liked the 52 that they scored even more than you liked the 109
that
for
was,
you,
that
right?
Was good to
Is
see.
that fair to say?
Yes,
yeah.
Absolutely.
Okay, so Saturday, you go back on the road, you face Southeastern Louisiana. It's a tight game the entire way, and you fall just short, 74-71. And such a close game, that could have gone either way. What's the difference down the stretch?
Well, a big difference in the Wednesday-Saturday was just our alertness on the defensive end. We had quite a few defensive lapses that turned into wide open shots for Southeastern. And, any team at this level, if you give people wide open shots, they're going to knock those down. I felt like we shot the ball pretty well from the field, but we didn't shoot well from the free throw line. And, so there's so many things you can look at when you lose a game by one possession. And then we had our chances. We had 2 possessions at the end of the game, and there was some bad coaching there, and we didn't get the shots that we wanted at the very end. But, I would look for our players to really respond when we have our next practice, for them to come back and be ready to remedy some of the problems that we had defensively that kept Southeastern in the game, the whole game. The alertness and the focus that we had on Wednesday just wasn't there on Saturday. But I think we'll get it back and be ready to go face our next couple of opponents on the road this week.
You did battle back from 13 down in the first half and made it, a one-possession game. Real quickly before we go from this segment, got to talk about Sarah Williamson, 10th in the nation in field goal shooting. She didn't have her best game against Southeastern Louisiana. She's made the leap from a good player to an all-conference player so far.
Well, one thing she's worked on is shooting from the perimeter. She's never been very confident shooting from the three-point line. So now that she's made a few, people actually have to guard her, and then that makes them vulnerable to her beating them off the dribble drive. And her scoring has been really good for us. Her Sam Houston McNeese games were back-to-back. She set records for points scored in a game, but she leads us in assists in conference games as well. So, she's getting the defense to really focus on her, and that opens up other players for her to kick the ball out to them for open shots.
Not sure there's a better player in the league in getting to the basket and those shifty moves around the rim. She's had a terrific start to the season playing at an all-conference level. All in all, very nice start to conference play. 3-1, tied for third place in the standings. Stay with us. This is the Julie Goodenough Show. Welcome back to the show. In her 25th season as a head coach, Julie Goodenough is still every bit as passionate as she was in year one. You can see it in her eyes. You can hear it in her voice, as we see in this week's feature, in which Coach Goodenough is mic'd up.
Hi, Coach. Have a good game. Good luck to you. Thank you. Thank you. Here we go. Here we go.
Good luck.
Here we go, y'all. Here we go. Here we go. Here we go, y'all. Here we go. Here we go. Here we go. Let's go. Let's go. Let's go. Let's go. Let's go. Hey, have a good game. Have a good game, 12. Have a good game. Hey, do work in the post. Demand the ball. Let's go. Hey, be aggressive right here. Get up and get the tip. We score first. We're in 12 up. Everyone be in it, okay? Keep the ball at that end. Force them to call a timeout before it ever crosses half court. Go get the tip. Let's go. Be aggressive right here. Team first wins on 3. Own it on 6. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. All Varsity. Let's go. Let's go, Michaela. Go get it, Michaela. Get it, Michaela. Go, 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 go. Give it up. Go, go. Motion. Go. Go, Sarah. That's yours. That's yours. Ball, ball, ball. Ball, get the ball, Sarah. Get the ball, Sarah. Deny, Michaela. Come on, deny that. Get out there, Dom. Deny. Come on, DK, get around that. Go, Dom. Push. Give it up.
One more.
Go. Ball set. Little breeze. Get that. Go, Dom. Pick it up. Let's go. Get in it. Go. Hey, you got to get around. Don't let her get position on you. Get around, all right? Blow the pass up when they make the lob. Let's go. Bring some energy. Talk on defense. Sit down right here. Let's go. Hey, you're good. If you'll jump up and just tattoo that thing out of bounds, then it's not a foul. Okay. Here we go. Don't travel on the catch. If your left foot is your pivot foot, we shouldn't be traveling, okay? Take care of the basketball. Before we drive into a crowd, you probably should jump stop and feed somebody that's open, okay? It's their ball. We're scoring first. Get it done right at this end. Let's go. Ball. Go, Pam. You got to follow. Dom. When they're trapping, we can't let them pass into the paint. I know you were denying this, but there's a girl in the paint. Don't let them pass into the paint. Hey, pitch it ahead. Let's go. Let's go. There you go. Hold your ground. Let's go. Come on, Lexi. Good luck to you guys. Nice job, 3-2. Nice job, y'all. Nice job. Good luck to you guys. Nice job.
Coach, you're going to get a couple of games this week at Houston Baptist and then at Northwestern State. Let's talk about the Huskies. They're 6-7, 1-2 in the conference. They won their home game. They returned just about everybody this season from last year's team led by all-conference guard Amanda Johnson. Specifically, what challenges do the Huskies present?
As far as the opponents we've played so far up to this point, they, to me, look like the most improved team. They're big. They have big post players that really battle inside. They can score well inside. They've shot and made more free throws than any team in the conference. They're going to be a force to be reckoned with. We're playing in their gym. They just came off a road loss as well. And so, one team's mentality has got to be more junkyard dog than the other. That's who's going to come out on top of this game. But they're playing really well at home. They have a veteran squad as well. So it's going to be a good game. It's going to be a good battle.
I go back to what you just said a minute ago. We've got to learn not to foul, especially on the road.
Absolutely.
They're going to pound it inside, aren't they?
And they have a lot of post players too, and they're big and they put you in a position to foul. And so we've just got to be really smart about where we are and just staying in a stance, being unscreenable, making sure that we're following through with our defensive principles just to keep us out of positions where we might have some lazy fouls.
They always play hard and they always rebound well under Coach
Absolutely.
Finney, don't they? Yeah.
So I know coaches don't generally look ahead, but you have to go to Louisiana once again. They haven't had much success though. 1-3 in conference, 6-9 overall. But every game on the road is always tough. How do you take care of the Demons?
Well, absolutely. Every game on the road is tough, and we're going to play at Houston on Wednesday night, and then drive on to Natchitoches. So, we're going to be on the bus for a long time, but it gives us a great opportunity for our team just to spend time together. It gives us extra time to help them just cognitively learn about the next opponent. Northwestern State leads the nation in forced turnovers right now. That's going to be a point of emphasis for us. And on the road, you need to have a lot of possessions. You've got to take care of the basketball. You've got to rebound really well. And so, we are just focused on our game on Wednesday night, but both games will be great battles for us. And you expect home teams to fight really hard to protect their home court and their home court advantage. And so we got to be ready for that fight when it comes.
There was a time when you thought you knew what you could expect in the Southland Conference a little bit. I know you didn't look at it that way as a coach, but as a fan and as an observer of covering the league as I have the last few years, it seems as wide open as I can remember it on the women's side.
Really, it is wide open, and it's interesting, just in the opponents we've played so far, everybody has added new players that have really helped their team out. We've got a brand new player in Lexi Duque on our team this year that we didn't have last year, and a lot of the new players that have joined the league, they're doing great things for their team. And so, I think that it's anybody's race out there, and so you've got to prepare your team for every contest.
Nice start to the season.
Thank you.
In conference play, and play well this week. All right, so it's ACU at Houston Baptist on Wednesday night, at Northwestern State in Louisiana on Saturday. Zach Carlisle will call both games on ACUsports.com. For Max Preston and for Coach Goodenough, I'm Grant Boone. Thanks for watching the Julie Goodenough Show. Enjoy the games this week. We'll see you next week.